swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawly Jean.
This is the Fly the W podcast, part of the Blue Wire Network. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me on all the socials. I'm at Mully and Haw on X, and this is Crawly's Adventures in Mesa.
Yeah, you can follow me if you haven't been already this week at Crawly's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, TikTok, and Crawly's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Threads. And you can email us at crawlysclubhouse@gmail.com. I am back from beautiful, sunny Mesa, Arizona. It was about 80 degrees, 84 when I left. And now there's going to be a storm tonight, so that ought to be great.
Yeah, a little storm coming our way. So be careful with that. You just look a little red in the face, Crawly. You got a little sun on the facha, if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, it was just beautiful weather. Just actually, being outside, enjoying such a, the climate when you go there, especially like when you leave January, February, March. Although next week it's supposed to be like in like the hundreds. It's really going to be hot out there. We just kind of we hit the weather at a really good time, and that really truly is nothing more beautiful than Mesa. I mean, like everyone's walking around in Cubs shirts. It's like my home planet. It's just sunny. It's beautiful. People love Cubs, and there's a lot of great food and drink places to go to. I mean, how can you not love it? I guess is just the way that you put it.
And you got to see some Cubs baseball. You got to see some good things, right?
Yeah, I got to, I actually got caught 2 games. And so the first game I caught was on Thursday versus the Diamondbacks. And boy, lots of offensive firepower for the Cubs. First inning, Michael Busch with a double followed by a Nico Horner triple to put the Cubs up 1-0. And Dustin, like, how do you not love like everyone running around the bases? I mean, that's right away, right? So Nico's going to score on an Ian Happ RBI ground out. Third inning, Dansby hits his second home run of the spring. Happ along for the ride to put the Cubs up 4-0. In the fourth inning, Kevin Alcantara doubled and scored on a Pedro Ramirez single. Bottom of the fifth, Carson Kelly hits a 2-run homer that I nearly caught in the left field berm. This is true here. Yeah, this is my buddy Steve Scher pointing exactly. It bounced right off that thing and went back into the bullpen.
Damn it, the hell.
So it was close. It was close. On the pitching side, Colin Ray went 2.3, gave up 1 run, 4 hits, no walks, 6 Ks, and he gave up 1 home run. So no big deal there. Phil Matten, Hobie Milner, and Caleb Thielbar each pitched a scoreless inning. And Dustin, we sit above the bullpen. And so for me, it was just a lot of fun to kind of, take a look and see Milner throwing. This is a picture I took of him warming up in the bullpen. That just looks like his arm is going to break in half.
Right? It looks so bizarre. As long as it's effective, though, I don't care.
it definitely was effective, and the lineup was effective. And this is the new way that they put it out there right outside the Cubs store. So it's kind of cool when you see the lineups like that. And just a good time. Luke Little pitched a scoreless inning as well. He did walk 2 batters, but for me, Dustin, there's just so much. Like when you just go to Mesa and you take a look, it's just like this beauty. You get a smile on your face, and there's a lot of Cubs, just all sorts of like prints up there that are kind of like from the retro. You know what I mean? Like the old scorecards and stuff like that. So that was cool. I did also before the game, I went to the backfields, and of course, I bumped into 2 guys that have been on the podcast numerous times. You could see right there. That's Rich right there, our good buddy Rich Biesterfeld, and that's Brian Smith. He used to be with Bleacher Nation. He now works for Baseball America, covering the Cubs. So, and this right here, Dustin, is just some of the things you see in the backfields. The first thing I see are players playing football. You know what I mean? Getting the arm warmed up. And this, you can see this photo right here, the football right in the air. So if you're following on Crawly's Clubhouse on YouTube, it's a lot of fun to kind of be out there. And Dustin, nothing is more fun than watching the W being flown like Clark right here. And then I get to fly the W. That's my wife, Shannon. That's Steve. And that's Rich. And you get to see it right here. And they have it on the scoreboard right there. Cubs win. So we had a great time that day, and it was a lot of fun. I did not go to the game Friday night. We kind of went a little bit different route here, Dustin. We went kayaking in beautiful Lake Saguaro. And we also did a little boat and booze cruise. So that was a lot of fun. And so kind of just decided to break it up. Night games get a little bit cooler over there. So you got to kind of, you got to be bundled up there because it does get cold at the night. And the Cubs bats were cold that night against the Padres in Peoria Stadium. Another guy that was cold was Ben Brown, who did not look too good. He looked like a couple of his starts last season. With one out, he gives up a double, walks a batter, hits a batter, and then walks a batter. That's how San Diego gets their first run on one hit. Double walk.
That's not a good recipe for success.
Nope, he was fine in the second, but in the third, the wildness came back. Starts the inning off with a hit by pitch, gives up 2 singles, gives up another walk, a fly out, and then a strikeout. And then also a wild pitch to allow another run to score. For Brown, he went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 3 runs on 3 hits, 3 walks, 3 Ks, 2 hit by pitches, and a wild pitch. So that can't happen, and he knows it. So it's just got to get better. The Cubs offense didn't do much. Matt Shaw was 2 for 3, as was Moises Ballesteros. The only extra base came from Chas McCormick double early on in the game, but the Cubs were 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position and left 9 men on base as they were shut out by the Pods on Friday night. But Dustin, I was back in action on Saturday versus the A's at Sloan Park, and the Score was there to broadcast it. First person I see, the most handsomely dressed man. How about Mitch Rosen?
There he is.
The boss man, Mitch Rosen right there. We got our guy, Bruce Levine. Look at that smile.
Bruce.
You cannot be sad when you see the Coom Dog. Coom Dog's he looks like he's in playing shape. You know what they say in baseball, right? Best shape of my life. Coom's looking good.
Looks like he's been enjoying that Arizona sun. That's for sure.
He's slimming down. And then, of course, the Hall of Famer, Pat Hughes. I did have a chance to Pat, and I'm sure you probably heard this too, Dustin, and it's, it keeps popping up. There's a couple of these crap AI generated sites that make up rumors about Fergie dying or this, that, or the other. And
I hate that stuff, right? I hate that stuff.
Right. The worst. It's just crap. And one of them says Pat Hughes is retiring, and nothing is further from the truth. Pat loves what he does. He loves working for the Score, and he has no plans on going anywhere in the near future. So
good. That's good news. That might be the best news you've brought back, that any of that crap that anybody's seen about Pat ready to hang up the headphones is not accurate.
Right. And Dustin, if it was accurate, it would be on the Cubs website. It would be on the Scores website. It would be on the Chicago Tribune, the Sun-Times. It wouldn't be on some random Facebook page. And so people, I've talked to players and players' families. There's one Cub Corner, I think it's Cubs Corner or Cubby Corner in particular, that just loves to, it's like from Vietnam or something. It literally just does all this stuff, and it's just crap. If it sounds, if you don't see it on the Cubs site or a reputable site, if you want to if you get it from Bleacher Nation, if you get it from the Score, if you get it from Marquee, wherever you get it somewhere reputable. Don't just do it from double check. Don't just share it, because it really does affect people's lives and bothers people. So I just wanted to put that out there. This game was a close one. Unlike the first game I went to, the Cubs got on the board first in the second inning with a solo home run from my guy. I keep bringing this guy up, Pedro Ramirez, Dustin. I mean, I love what this kid is doing right now. He is just doing some great, great stuff. And so I'm happy to see that. Josiah Hartshorn, he's one that you want to keep an eye on. He made his Cubs debut with the single and would score on a Nico RBI single to put the Cubs up 2-0. Unfortunately, the A's answered in the top of the third. Shodi Imanaga gave up 2 hits in the first 2 innings. He was in a little trouble in the first, got out of it. Second was no inning, but in the third with 2 outs, Andy Ibanez doubled off a ball I thought Ian should have caught, Ian Happ, and left. Shota then gave up a single and then the dreaded 2-run homer to give the A's a 3-2 lead. Shota would get 2 more outs in the 4th before his day was done. 3 2/3, 3 runs on 5 hits, no walks, 3 Ks, and just 1 home run. So, cut it down from that last outing. It wasn't as good as his first start. Wasn't as bad as his last start, kind of somewhere in the middle, right?
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah, I'm still disappointed in the home runs, but that's part of Arizona baseball, I guess.
It is, and that's part of his game a little bit, that he does give up home runs. And what he's brought about is they got to be solos. You know what I mean? Solo home runs aren't going to hurt you. Greg Maddux used to give up solo home runs. Not a big deal. Just don't let more runs score. Ian Happ would tie it in the 5th with a solo home run, his first of the spring. And my guy, Pedro Ramirez, hit a sac fly to put the Cubs up 4-2, which is how this one would end. We get to fly the W a second time, Dustin. Not once, but twice. And those were the 2 games that I did get to go to. Happ would finish 2 for 3 with the homer. Carson Kelly was 2 for 2 with a double and a walk. Pedro Ramirez 1 for 2 with the homer and 2 RBIs. The Cubs lost on Sunday. So Dustin, every time I was at the game they won, every time I wasn't at the game they lost. You take it for what it's worth. I did not attend this one. I had a late night the night before. We went to the Rusty Spur. You could see Steve and my wife there. We went to go see the Psychobilly Rodeo Band, which is an all classic legend at the Rusty Spur, which if you haven't been to Mesa, that's a place to go. We did some hiking. We were at the Wind Cave in Mesa. So we did some beautiful hiking. And then we also had just a nice pool day before flying home. So it really was.
That seems like a good trip. It seems like you got a little bit of everything in there, right? You got a little bit of R&R, spent a little time with the wife, saw your Cub friends, and saw a Cubs win. So 2
Cubs wins. Yeah, you can't beat it.
I don't want to cut you short. Two Cubs wins.
And just like I said, you got to meet a lot of players. I got, Mitch, Pat, Ron, Bruce. I saw Sahadov. I saw Jesse Rogers. It's just so much fun to go out there. And so, this last game on Sunday, it was one that you really don't worry about the score, even though the Cubs lost 9-5. The Giants did most of their damage off once the regulars were out and scored on guys that aren't breaking tamp with the big league team.
Right. Already guys that have gotten sent back to the minors, right?
Right. The Cubs got off to a 2-0 lead with Conforto hitting an RBI single in the 2nd and Moises Ballesteros with an RBI ground out in the 4th. Skipper Craig went with a bullpen game. Thielbar, Matten, Milner, Little all through scoreless innings. But in the top of the 5th, Corbin Martin gave up a 2-run home run to tie it. In the bottom of the 5th, Dansby Swanson would hit an RBI double to put the Cubs back up 3-2. And how about Moises Ballesteros? Mo Baller, 2-run single to extend it to 5-2. All the regulars would then come out of the game. And then reliever Connor Schultz came in the game. He would go 2/3 of an inning and give up 4 runs on 5 hits. 3 home runs.
Yeah, 3 home runs. I was listening to that portion of the game on the radio. Not a good listen.
No, the Cubs lost the lead and the Giants would go up 6-5. The Giants would score an additional 3 runs off Brooks Capel in the 8th as the Giants would win 9-5. But Dustin, you're not counting on Connor Schultz and Brooks Capel to do this, to do anything for you in the season. Nico, though, 1 for 2 with a walk, scored 2 runs. Dansby was 2 for 3 with a double, a triple, and a walk. And Moises Ballesteros was 1 for 3 with 3 RBI, Dustin. But I do want to thank a couple people, for making this trip really, truly special for me. This is my friend. This is us hanging out in the berm right here. You can see shirt off, Dustin, shirt off, getting some sun. But I do want to thank my friend Kathy Weedley. She's the one
that one off and up and down real quick.
We kept that one quick, but this is Kathy Weedley. She was running the tent for us and, grilling and had the beer and the ice and the cooler out there. So just, a fun time there. I want to obviously thank Rich Biesterfeld. He's been on the show a bajillion times, Dustin. And I got to tell you, my eyes, they're not what they used to be. And so Rich has like phenomenal vision, knows every player by the way that they walk, by everything. And so he's able to sit there and, point some things out, point some guys out for me. So I'm ready. And when those guys come up, just being happy to kind of see them and the players, Dustin, are just so nice and accommodating. Talk to you for a minute, get you a picture. It really is truly special. And then finally, my brother from another mother, he's always kind of paying attention, watching on the show. He's been there. Steve Scher just did such a great job making sure that we were in good shape, that, rides, helping us out, giving us advice. He really is a great follow on Twitter, especially if you plan on going out to Arizona. I would definitely, like I said, give Steve a follow. He's been on this show before, and he follows the show pretty much, all the time when there's not a game. He's at a lot of different games. Doesn't just go to Cubs games. He's got a lot of experience going to all sorts of different games. So, if, especially like I said, if you're planning on going, Dustin, I don't know when the last time you've been to Mesa, but I would give it a follow. And
I didn't have any gray hair. Let's put it that way.
I would honestly, I would say give him a follow, and that way you can find out. He always gives really good pro tips. And I've been to a lot of different parks, but he kind of gives you a lot of different information that you could see there. So just kind of something to keep in mind.
You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. We are part of the Blue Wire Network. This, of course, is episode 343, Crawly's Cub Adventures in Mesa. We're going to talk a little World Baseball Classic next. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. 5-star review, we'll take it. Email us, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Don't forget you can watch us. You might be doing that right now. Crawly's Clubhouse on the YouTube page. We are nearly at the end of pool play at Crawly and the WPC. Let's take a look and see how the teams are doing so far.
Have you been watching, Dustin? Have you been excited?
I have. We've had live sports during the Mully and Haw show. Pretty cool.
Oh, you got to love it. And so when we take a look, the Cubs have had 12 players in the WBC, 13 if you count Johnny Long, had he not gotten injured. But we want to look at how some of the Cubs are doing in the tournament. How about PCA? It's his first WBC as a major leaguer. So far, he is 1 for 6 with a double, 2 walks, and an RBI. And he was along for the ride on Kyle Schwarber's blast. Dustin, when I watched that, I said to myself, just how many Cub fans shake their head every time you see that?
Yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Now, Alex Bregman, a veteran of Team USA, he's 1 for 7 with a double, 3 RBI, 5 walks, and 3 runs scored. But Dustin, that's the thing. It's like even when he doesn't get hit, he gets on base. You see the peskiness that's going to bother pitchers to run up pitch counts like that. And so again, he only has 1 hit, but he's crossed home plate 3 times. I mean, that just shows you what he does. So even though he's 1 for 7, those 5 walks, his OPS is way up there, and that's impressive. Now, Matt Boyd has pitched in 1 game against Mexico Monday night, last night when this happened. Didn't go well. He came into the game in the 6th inning, gave up 3 runs on 5 hits, no walks, 3 Ks. He gave up 2 home runs to Jarren Duran. So it made that game, I would say, a little bit closer than you would have liked.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great
that's not
game.
his role. I mean, it's his job to get people out, but he usually doesn't come in the 8th inning.
Right. I think, he came in. I think he was 6, 7, 8, right around there. He was in the game, but it's just, you look at it and you say, okay, like you said, not his normal role. These are guys that operate based on routine, right? And so when that happens, you just kind of shake it off. Not a big deal. I thought that he did, to me, I think it wasn't his greatest performance, but it wasn't anything that kind of freaked me out. For Panama, Miguel Amaya hasn't done much. 1 for 9, no home runs, RBI, walks, or strikeouts. But how about this? Christian Bethancourt, who's probably starting in AAA, 4 for 14 with a double and 2 RBI. Not bad.
Mm-hmm. Not bad at all.
Venezuela, Daniel Palencia appeared in 1 game, pitched 1 inning, didn't give up a hit a batter. He struck out 2. And now, Dustin, I want to kind of get into some guys that are really doing some stuff right out here, man. We do have some Cubs players that are looking pretty impressive, and I'm going to start practicing this chant real quick. In case you didn't know, all Japanese players have their own songs that their fans sing, and that's Seiya's, and we got to learn that because I think it gives him extra power. I think Bleacher Jeff has to lead those chants there because Seiya has been crushing it for Samurai Japan. He has 3 hits and 9 at-bats, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 5 walks. He hit 2 of those home runs off Team Korea on Saturday. He is slashing .333, .571, 1,000. So mighty impressive.
Yeah, he is. He's really enjoying it and a little hotted up, if you will. So,
and we talked about this before, Dustin, how these guys, especially, and I feel like in America, it's really starting to come around. But like, when the WBC started, you and I can remember that, I don't think it was as big a deal as it is now. I don't think it's as big a deal as it is now. Whereas now you have a lot of different players that are into it. But in Asia or in the Latin American countries, it always has been a big deal. It really has, to play for your country. And I think you're really kind of seeing this now with some of these guys that are out there. So something to kind of keep in mind when we're watching this. And hopefully, like I said, he keeps going. How about for Team Mexico? Javier Assad starts against Great Britain on Friday. And he threw 3 2/3 shutout innings. He allowed just 2 hits, 1 walk. He punched out 2 batters, right? So this is the first time he started in the WBC.
Yeah, I remember coming out of the pen, right?
Yeah, and remember, that's when all of us really kind of like, whoa, look at this guy. And Dustin, his fastball hit 96.3, averaging 94.4. I mean, that's a difference. That's something, again, this is why you watch these games. This is why you watch spring training games. That's 2.2 miles per hour faster than his 2025 fastball. So it's something you keep an eye on. His sinker, curveball, sweeper, changeup, everything was looking solid. And then for Canada, how about Jamison Tyone?
Yep.
Everybody was nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was nervous about JMO. He was solid in his start against Panama, right? 1 run, 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts across 3 2/3. Wasn't great, but compared to what he was doing in Mesa, we would take it, right?
You would take it. Absolutely right. Yeah, he was. He bounced back nicely. He does seem to step up when it matters most.
Yeah, he's got 13. He gave up 13 earned runs, 6 home runs across 6 innings in his first 3 starts. But again, he's a guy that I know people. There's a fine line when you worry versus when you don't. And I'm just, especially after 3 starts in Mesa, I'm not going to worry. I'm just not, especially with a guy like him. Ben Brown, we saw a lot of inconsistency last year. He doesn't have the track record. I think about guys that have track records versus guys that don't, or guys that had certain bugaboos, certain problems, like with Shota and the home run ball. If he would have given up another 3 home runs when I was there instead of the 1, I would have been a little bit more nervous. Then I would have been like, okay, 1 home run in Mesa is really nothing. You're not going to sit there and freak out about it. So those are how the Cubs are doing. We are still in pool play, and we talked about this on the last episode before I left. There are 4 different pools going on, 1 in Tokyo, 1 in Puerto Rico, and Houston, and Japan. And so Pool A is still going on, but we have Puerto Rico right now that has advanced. They are 3-0. Cuba's 2-1. Canada's going to play today and tomorrow. So you play 4 games in pool play.
Yeah,
Colombia and Panama.
That's my only complaint. It does drag a little bit.
Okay.
To get to the quarterfinals. It's like, all right, let's go. Let's get to some knockout action.
Well, we're going to get there. Well, we got 2 knockouts. You got Colombia and Panama.
I mean the knockout round where it's 1 and done. Right.
So that was in Pool A. And Pool B, this is the one that everybody's kind of interested in right here. The United States is 3-0, Italy 2-0, Mexico 2-1, Great Britain 1-3, Brazil is out at 0-4. But this is where it gets interesting for Team USA, is that if they win, they advance and they're the number 1 seed. If they lose tonight, and they're playing, we're recording this on Tuesday, if they win tonight versus Italy, they're 4-0, but if they lose, they could still claim the top seed if Italy loses on Wednesday against Mexico, and then you start getting into tiebreakers and run differentials. The main thing is win tonight. Take care of business. Yep. Don't worry about don't let it get to that. You win tonight, you're in, and you're in first place there. Pool C, Japan has already won the number 1 seed, and Korea has advanced it well, even though they are tied with Australia and Chinese Taipei at 2-2. We knew Japan was going to do, and Dustin, they looked every bit of good. whether it was Shohei, whether it was Seiya, Murakawa. I mean, that is just a team designed to play. And then Dustin, this is the one you want to watch. I know you're wanting to get things moving. This is the one to watch tomorrow. Venezuela versus the Dominican Republic in Pool D. Now, they're both in. So you're going to say, well, why does it matter? Okay,
they hate each other.
Well, there is that pride there. But if we pull up the WBC bracket right here, this is the way that it's going to go, okay? So Korea is already in. They are the second seed of that pool that they were in, okay? In Pool C. Now, Japan is on the other side of the quarterfinal 4, which is going to be in Miami. They're the number 1 seed. They're going to be there. They're going to play the loser of that match of Venezuela versus Venezuela versus Dominican. And so you don't want to have to face Japan in the first game of the knockout round. So you win, you get Korea. You lose, you have to face Japan.
Gotcha.
And so then we have the same thing that we kind of flip around here. Who gets first place? U.S. is not in first place, even though they're undefeated yet. They have to win tonight. Then they'll get in first place. And then when we take a look at that right there, so if the U.S. gets into first place, if they get first place, then they're going to take on the winner of Cuba, Canada, when that's all getting sorted out. So that would be from Pool A. So definitely interesting. You want to be in first place so you get the easier opponent when you get to that pool right there. But I feel like it's been a lot of fun. I feel like the energy's really been there. I haven't, knock on wood, everybody seems to be doing okay. It's just a matter right now of whether or not what's going to happen next as far as the knockouts. And so today is Tuesday. Wednesday is the last day of games. And so when I'm taking a look at the schedule right now, tonight we have Israel versus Netherlands. Doesn't really mean much to anybody. Canada versus Puerto Rico. That's one you want to watch because that's going to be an opponent that the U.S. is probably going to face. And you have Owen Casey playing for Team Canada. That's 6 p.m. on Tubi. And then Italy is going to play USA 8 p.m. Central on FS1. And then on Wednesday, March 11th, if you're listening to this, whenever you're listening to it, Canada, Cuba, that could be important on FS2. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Central Time. Italy versus Mexico could have huge implications, 6 p.m. Central Time. And that game I told you about, 7 p.m., the Dominican Republic versus Venezuela on FS1. This is what, Dustin, the World Baseball Classic was always supposed to be like. And so I know you've had fun watching it. I've had fun watching it. And I hope our listeners have had fun watching it. And let's keep cheering on those Cubbies, other than when Seiya has to face the United States, right?
That's exactly right. But otherwise, go ahead and hit as many towering home runs as you like, Seiya Suzuki. You are listening to the Fly the W podcast, proud to be part of the Blue Wire Network. It is episode 343. Crawly's Cub Adventures in Mesa have come to an end, but we're not done talking about them yet. You can listen, you can download, you can review, and you can subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. 5-star review will take them. You can email us, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Don't forget, you can watch us on Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, some roster news, some injuries, odds, and ends.
Yeah, Dustin, there's unfortunately, as we know, this is something that just ends up happening, and that's the idea of injuries happening. We talked about that earlier. The one you want to take a look at, Porter Hodge will start the season on the IL with a right elbow flexor strain. Didn't feel well after his last outing. He hasn't looked well this entire time. Some additional testing was done. He is going to be shut down for the next few weeks. He will not be starting, obviously, the season opening day with the team. Jordan Wicks, your guy. Jordan Wicks, here he is, Dustin. I said hello to him for you. Here he is in Mesa. He doesn't have a jersey on. He's got the T-shirt, which is always, I would say that's not a good sign when you're wearing that. So, like, if you take a look, Pedro Ramirez in the jersey, here he is in the T-shirt. He ain't playing. He ain't coming in. He ain't doing anything. So, Jordan Wicks will be shut down until mid to late March because of a radial nerve irritation in his left arm. So he's going to be behind schedule before he gets to Iowa. And then Jonathan Long, he missed the WBC because of a bruised left elbow. He's been cleared to return to baseball activities and the Cubs are hoping to get him into games next weekend. Shelby Miller, Dustin, he made some news. He's recovering from Tommy John surgery. We knew this was going to happen. There's going to be a signing more for next year. But there's a doctor, this Dr. Meister, not Jägermeister, Dr. Meister. He talks to a lot of the players. He talked to Justin Steele. He's the one that cleared Justin Steele, talked to Shelby Miller, did the work on him. But now Shelby's saying, there's a possibility, and let's just kind of keep that open there. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but a possibility about him being back at the end of the season. So that would be very, very interesting to see how it's just, I just think about last season, Dustin, and how they basically just ran out of arms. That's what happened. They ran out of arms. And I just think to myself, okay, if this is another guy, if we're talking about another guy that could potentially, be somebody that can contribute to a deep postseason run. We've seen how important these bullpens are when it comes to postseason. I think that that's a really big deal. So just keep in mind. Now, Dustin, again, injuries scare every team and some have already been bit. How about this one? Today, Jesse Rogers reports that Reds ace Hunter Green's MRI did not come up clean. He will have arthroscopic procedure on Wednesday to remove bone chips from his right elbow. He is not expected to return until July. Oh my God, that hurts, Dustin.
That's bad news for them.
You remember he had that one hitter after the Cubs celebrated after they clinched the wild card berth. I mean, the guy just looked unstoppable. That's why I thought that they had a chance of beating the Dodgers, and obviously they didn't. But Hunter Green, I mean, just losing him, it's just a gut punch. This one's interesting. The Brewers are considering sending Quinn Priester to a specialist for more information because he's had this lingering discomfort, right wrist soreness. As of March 5th, Dustin, he has not thrown off the mound in more than a week. And so Quinn Priester is one of those guys. Remember, no one really thought the Brewers were going to do a lot, and they had the best record in baseball. Quinn Priester was a big reason for that, and he is not feeling it right now. So just something to keep in mind as you have Brandon Woodruff, who's always had injury issues, Quinn Priester. I mean, if all of a sudden you start losing guys, somehow Milwaukee seems to kind of find new ones. But that's just something that'll kind of keep you in mind. Okay. Joey Wentz, the Braves lefty, tore his ACL, Dustin, while covering first base. Just something minor. It's like you get nervous about people going to play WBC, but it can be something as simple as just playing a spring training game and something as simple as covering first base. I mean, he wasn't going to be one of their top 4 starters, but he's probably going to be their 5th starter. You just don't want to go down. So we'll see what happens.
We shall see.
We got some signings. Jesus Luzardo, he signed a 5-year extension. He's 28 years old, Dustin, and he's got a lot of injury history. When I looked at this, and I don't know what you thought about it, I said to myself, it's the right move. I understand what they're doing, but boy, oh boy, it's $135 million over 5 years. You remember the Cubs were looking at him, and it looked like they had a trade in place. It was going to be Owen Casey for Jesus Luzardo last year, and the medicals didn't clear, and he's had an injury history, and the Cubs got cold feet and backed off. He had a great year for the Phillies. He was not injured, but that's a lot of cabbage, Dustin, for a guy that just has that injury history. So we'll see. 135, 5 years. So something to keep in mind. Zach Little signed a 1-year, $7 million deal with the Nationals. There's a mutual option for the following season. Little was one of the Athletics' top 50 free agents we've been following this offseason. Dustin, that list of 50 is down to 2. Both former Southsiders, number 50, Michael Kopech, and number 30, Lucas Giolito.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
Well, now, again, this is what you look at. When you take a look at Joey Wentz going down, tearing his ACL, are the Braves going to want to kick the tire on one of these 2 guys? Who knows? Steroid suspensions.
Might not have a choice, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it's a fifth starter. What do you want to give up? What do you want to pay?
Well,
How
you may
desperate
not
are
have
you?
to pay. You may not have to pay Michael Kopech a whole lot.
We'll see. We did have a couple of PED suspensions, Dustin.
Yeah.
Johan Rojas, the Phillies' backup outfielder, is looking at an 80-game suspension for a first-time positive test for a PED. Rojas was going to play for the Dominican team, but obviously he dropped out for that. But the big one, Dustin, is Jerkson Profar. He is facing he plays for the Braves. He's facing 162 full season suspension for testing positive for exogenous testosterone. It's his second career PED suspension. Now, Dustin, we don't really love to talk too much about this upcoming collective bargaining agreement, but I feel like this is something that needs to be looked into, right? The Braves signed Profar last season in 2025 to a 3-year, $42 million contract. In his first season in 2025, he got popped for PEDs and he missed half the season, 81 games. So he still made $6 million of the $12 million he was owed. He will not make any of the $15 million that he's owed this year, but the Braves still have to pay him the following year $15 million, as long as he's not stupid enough to get popped a third time and face a lifetime ban. So, this is something that, to me, I feel like the league has to look into this. Is like, if you have to be able to look into these contracts if you're getting popped for PEDs. That is my opinion.
Yeah, there should be some language in there, right?
Right. And so here's the thing. What is acceptable to take. There's a hotline that MLB gives you. You call it up. Can I take this from this company? If they say no, then you don't take it. But every time, I didn't know I was taking something that was legal, but no. Don't take anything you shouldn't be taking unless it's approved, sanctioned by MLB, coming through. I'm sure MLB can make a GNC type model that sends you the legal type of stuff that you want to take, right? That to me, there has to be something in there that if you wanted to take something like you would take from GNC, have MLB send it to you. Have them send you those type of the supplements. Yeah, whatever,
Right.
We got some other news recently, Dustin. We know who will start opening day against the Cubs. Now, Craig Counsell said he is going to announce his starter maybe this weekend, right? But it's going to be Cade Cavelli, right-hander. And so you may be saying who? And that would be okay. He's making his 12th career appearance, Dustin, and he's starting opening day. According to Ryan Shanker here, he covers the Nationals. It would make him one of 3 pitchers since 1999 to start opening day with 11 or fewer prior MLB games pitched. I'm thinking, to me, Dustin, there has to be, if you're talking about the Cubs, there should be no reason against the Nationals. I know it's going to be cold. I know the wind's going to be blowing in. You got this kid out there that really, he's not a seasoned vet. We've talked about, who the Cubs might still be. Have you thought any more about what direction you want to go on this?
Well, I mean, I think maybe Jamison Tyone, to be honest, depending on what happens with him in Canada. I think he deserves that opportunity. He's earned that opportunity. That's where I'd like to see.
I'm leaning you, Boyd. I want to see how it works out, how things he still pitches, how it looks when he comes back to W. Is he? Because again, it's monitor it was 2 innings, but I want to, if you take a look, Shota went into the 4th last outing. Those are type of things. I want to see what Matthew Boyd doesn't. What he does, I want to see how Shota does. To me, I feel like it's somewhere in between there. I know people are wondering about Cade Horton. I'm not 100% sure just yet. He had kind of a rough start today. We'll talk about that on the next episode, but
that's a tease. That's a tease.
This though, Dustin, is the time when you start making cuts in camp. And, the Cubs have just made their, earlier in the week, they made their first spring training cuts. And that's something to keep in mind, that, some of these guys that you saw that are no longer with the team, Jackson Wiggins is on that list. And again, he's not somebody that shocks you. He's a young guy, but he is one that isn't going to be making it. The Cubs optioned Riley Martin, Jack Neely, Ben Cowles, and James Triantos to AAA Iowa. So 11 guys were part of these cuts right here. Triantos, I think, looked really, really good in camp. Ben Cowles has been okay. Pedro Ramirez was optioned to AA Knoxville. So for those of you that are interested in following along, because I think Pedro's been great as well, he was optioned to AA Knoxville, and pitchers Grant Kipp, Connor Nolan, Connor Schultz, and Jackson Wiggins were returned to minor league camp. What that means is that they don't know where those guys are going to start quite yet. That decision hasn't been made just yet. So Riley Martin looks good. Jack Neely, he's somebody that, I think is going to be one of the first guys potentially called up, but, just kind of watching what's going on in camp and seeing those cuts. Remember, just because they're cut doesn't mean that they can't still play in these minor league games. So something to kind of keep in mind as you're kind of watching through this. The Cubs do have some games. They're currently playing the Texas Rangers right now. Dustin, is not going the Cubs' way. 8-3. They are down, but the game is still going on. On the 11th, they are going to be playing the Royals. And on the 12th, they are playing the Mariners. That game against the Royals and the Mariners is at Sloan. And then they're going to be on Friday against the White Sox at Camelback Ranch. Now, Dustin, this is I hate to keep complaining, and I know people are probably tired of me complaining about the lack of ability to watch games, but just think about today's game. You had Jacob deGrom going up against Cade Horton. Now, again, it didn't go the way that we wanted it to go, but I would have liked to have seen it with my own eyes.
Right. Instead of seeing tweets about it and whatnot. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that to me is frustrating. So we had no way to watch it. We have no way of watching Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know. They always kind of put the game day on late, and no way to watch the game Friday against the White Sox. So frustrating. The Score's next broadcast will be on Saturday.
Now they're and not just because I work there, I will defend them, of course. They are doing their typical 10 games. That's what they do. They do 10 preseason games, and they are doing 10 preseason games.
And maybe this is something they look into next year is kind of maybe adding more, or like you talked about, I know we've talked about before, splitting it up so that the Score and Marquee are not doing games on the same day.
Right. When they're obviously also not doing games on the same day.
Right. And that's going to be the 15th Sunday of March is going to be Marquee and Score. The Marquee will be covering all of that, but definitely something, like I said, that I think will hopefully get more discussion about how this goes moving forward. And that's, I honestly feel like that is going to be something that's decided in the CBA.
Yeah, that would be something good to decide in the CBA. No doubt about that. All right, Crawly, that's a wrap for this one. Don't forget to listen, download, review, subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Email us thoughts, questions, concerns, Crawly's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Watch us. You might be doing that already. Subscribe to the Crawly's Clubhouse YouTube channel. Crawly, have a great rest of the week. We'll get back together soon enough.
Yep, and thank you again to Steve Scher, who's watching right now. I knew he would be, as I mentioned earlier. Rich Biesterfeld, Kathy Weedley, everybody that tuned in, like my guy Bill Watts put up that sign at the Score that looks so great out in the front lobby when you look into it. But a lot of baseball all over the place. Dustin, this is what I was dreaming about all winter long. Go Cubs and go USA.
It's all over.